how we can create this 3D realistic render model from the scratch. Today, I will going to show it to you, how we can create this realistic 3D model from A to Z by using SketchUp and V-Ray plugin. I prepared 3 parts of this video tutorial. The first part is creating layout and 3D modeling. On the second part of this video is adding texture to the 3D model. And the last is the 3D rendering, the easiest part of the video. Here you can see 2 views in this screen. On the right side is our reference in creating 3D model, and on the left side is the SketchUp layout interface, the area in which we will do the 2D and 3D modeling. You will notice also that the calculator is open, in which we will use and input the measurement and dimension checking in the layout. All the commands and the shortcut will be published in the video description below. As you observed, we have 5 numbers of furniture that we will work on this project. We have 2 wardrobe, 1 assembly of study cabinet with table, and 1 loft bed with wooden staircase. First, we will create the layout and follow the drawings from the right of the screen to the SketchUp model interface. Here, I create layout by using rectangle, line and offset tools. By using the exact dimensions from the reference in the right side of the screen, we create exact floor layout in our model. By the way, I am using the millimeter units on this projects. I also create a line for the door opening and the column for this model. Now, we will create the first furniture, and we will follow the dimension in the right side of the screen. You'll notice that I make rectangular layout first with the same dimension appear in the model. I used the offset tools to create quick lines for the wall of the cabinet, and used move tools to copy and move the lines. Here, I delete some of the unnecessary lines to make uneasy target for push and pull tool. After we lay out the wardrobe, Easily we'll use now the push and pull tool to create 3D model and make some adjustment according to our project data. Now, I will create the door for the wardrobe with a cabinet handle as you observe. I use again the push and pull and scale tool to create another door. I utilized also the move and rotate tools to adjust the orientation of the cabinet and transfer it to the 3D model. Some adjustment standard height of the handle has been made accordingly. I import AutoCAD file for the door handle and create 3D model on it. Make some adjustment on the orientation and scale and realistic measurement. As you observed, I rescale the handle because the original is too large for the cabinet door. We duplicate the door by copying the original and use the scale tool to create a mirror of 3D model. Same procedure that we did in making door cabinet, this time we used the hand groove door handle which I already import from the AutoCAD file. Simple tips. We need to explode the import file before we create 3D model. By clicking the object imported and right-click, then select or find explode. I usually make group the object after created them to make it easy to edit or match the properties, and you will see in the later part of the video. Here, we make adjustment for the fitting of the sliding door on the cabinet. We adjust the orientation of the 3D model and move into the layout plan. We are done with the first 3D furniture and we can move to the next cabinet. You'll notice that I save the project file. It is necessary to save your project at the start of your work. For me, I save the file almost late before I forget, which is not good totally. The same procedure that we did. First we create the layout a rectangle with the given dimension from the right portion of the screen. We input the data and the measurements located at the lower right portion of the Sketchup interface. I use the offset tool to easily create lines for the cabinet wall and approximately around 25 mm of wall thickness. I used also the copy and move tools as you see in the video. I select the line and click the move tool to copy a certain line or object. Now, I make the partition walls and a frame for the drawers. Again the same procedure that we did, just copy and move the object, while push and pull to create 3D model. As you notice, I erase unnecessary lines in the layout to easily use the push and pull tool. After we clear all the lines in the layout, we are creating now the 3D model by using push and pull tool. I used to make a group in 3D model to easily edit and match color properties. We will see and you will know in the later part of the video. You will notice also that I make a copy of the front side of the drawer frame to create 3D model of the drawer. We make some adjustment on the exact location and size of the drawer. After creating the 3D model, we can easily create a copy of drawer and place it on the cabinet frame. I adjusted the orientation of the drawer and its size by using push-pull and move tool to create a realistic 3D model. Now, Our component for this second furniture is completed and we will create the model as a group. We can now place it to the floor layout plan by using the Move tool and Rotate tool for adjusting the orientation of the model. Now, I add partition on the upper part of the window the same in our reference from the right side of the screen. To look realistic and avoid disapproval from the client, we need to follow correctly the design since the references came from the client. To forget something missing in the design will not be acceptable to the client. So, in this case we try not to forget something in the design from our reference to avoid also from any reworks, additional effort and time. Here, I open the file that we want to follow for the study cabinet and table. We want to create 3D model and put it to the SketchUp model with the same dimensions and details from the reference. The same procedure that we did in the previous video. We start with making the rectangle and placed exactly the dimension details on the SketchUp Dimension tab. I used again the Offset tool to create easily wall line and use the calculator to check the dimension. Here, I divided the vertical line by 3 and copied a line to create a division of wall line in which the same in our reference. Then, I delete unnecessary line and object to proceed with the Push-Pull tool. I make additional copy of object to create spare that we can use later in creating doors or drawers of the cabinet. Now, we used Push-Pull tool to create 3D model. Adjust the wall divider by making line each side for the space of sliding door. I delete unuseful lines and create the object as a group for easy editing and end adjustment. Here, I will create a sliding door for the cabinet by laying a rectangular and cut it in the middle of the object. As you see, I copy the handle of the sliding door from this cabinet to minimize the time compared in creating new handle. Minor adjustment for the thickness of the door is needed to create smooth surface. I adjust the length of the handle to make it fit with the door and we create as a group to easily edit or move when we are going to modify. I make an adjustment for the door fitting using Push-Pull and Move tool. I also delete unused line to create seamless scene in the model. After creating a model, I make it as a group and rotate it vertically and move to its position aligned with the floor layout. Now, we are creating the drawer cabinet the same method that we did in making study cabinet. As you will see, I make offset, horizontal line and move tool to create partition for the drawer. I also use the calculator in checking the correct dimension for the 3 partition frame. Erase the unused line, use the push-pull tool and make as a group. Next we will create drawers by using a rectangular tool and use the cabinet opening to create image of the drawer frame. Now, I will make a drawer box by taking first a cross section and use the push-pull tool to create 3D model. After creating the drawer box model, we make it as a group and connect it to the drawer face. A small adjustment will be needed for the drawer box to fit with the drawer face. After adjustment effort, we can create now as a group and move it to the inside of the cabinet. Again, a small adjustment will be needed to fit the drawer box inside the cabinet. I copied a grooved handle from the other cabinet and fit it to this drawer cabinet. A little adjustment has been made to the drawer face with the handle and create a seamless model. I create them as a group after fitting adjustment and create a copy for 2 additional drawer to fit inside the cabinet. I edit the model of drawer face and extend the length including the drawer handle for the 3 drawer. Since the model was created as a group, I need to edit one by one. Unlike if we did a component, only one model with the same component name will be automatically changed for all. Now, I will create a table by using rectangle, push-pull tool and make as a group with the same dimension on the model. Here, we will create now the staircase for the loft bed. As you observe, I make a rectangular the same dimension from our reference. I use the calculator to check the dimensions since we have 4 steps to make. We need to divide the horizontal and vertical line by 4 for easy to use the push-pull tool. I draw a horizontal line on this view to create a steps layout and use the delete and push-pull tool to create the model that we want. Here, I draw again a line to make a reference for the drawer box and cabinet opening. I use the offset tool to create the drawer partitions. I make the stair tread, adjust the size and put a nosing on it. On the later part of our video I will show it to you how we transform it to a realistic wooden tread. After we make the tread, we create the tread as a group and make a copy for the other remaining steps by using Move tool. We will create the drawer face and the drawer box, the same procedure that we did in the previous. We just use the rectangle tool to create the drawer face, start using the offset and push-pull tool to create the model. This model is created as a group to easily modify and move quickly to its location. As you've seen, I can quickly move and modify the model. Later I will also add the drawer handle and put it in the drawer face. Now that we are done creating the drawer, I copy the drawer handle from the other cabinet and place it on this drawer face. I will do the same with all of the drawer face and make some adjustment to fit the handle. When you modify a group, just double click the object and easily you can start the editing on it like what I did on this tutorials. As you observed, I make small clearance around 5 mm on each side of the drawer face to create unseamless rendering image, which you will see later in the second part of the tutorials. After we finish the model, we will transfer it to the floor layout. To complete the furniture in the room included in our scope, I will now create the elevated bed hanging from the ceiling slab as you observe on this video. Here, we used the offset, line, move, measure, and push-pull tool. Look closely what I did on this elevated bed. I'd used the measurement to create the exact spacing or dimension of the bottom bed support. I divided by 4 and came out the spacing of 485 mm. It looks like it is near spacing for the support, but it doesn't matter because it will not create any significant change in our scope of works and enduring rendering period. After we've done the elevated bed, we can now modify the floor layout and used the push-pull tool to create the wall and the column of the room. Here, we use the measurement tool to locate the location of the window and create the window opening by using push-pull tool. As you observed, I make my own simple design sliding window, and please see what I did to create this window. I used only rectangle, offset and push-pull tool to create this simple sliding window. I also add the window glass inside the window frame, by using rectangle tool and use the glass texture material as you see in this video. Perfect. We have now window that will add the view in the room. We are now making the suspended support for this elevated bed. Before that, I make this object as a group to isolate when we'll do the modify adjustment. A 2 by 3 inches of rectangle on this wall and use the push-pull tool will create the support. Later on the second part of this video, you will see how we can turn it to a realistic wooden including this bed. Here, I add the railings by copying the face of this wall and move it upward, then used the push-pull tool. I also use the measurement to identify the location of the support. Exactly, we will create 2 pieces of additional support for the railings by using push-pull tool. We are now done with our furniture inside the room. To create a realistic evening scene on this room, we will need some lightings on the ceilings, but before the lightings of course we'll do first the false ceiling by using again the rectangle, measurement, circle, push-pull and the V-ray lightings. Mostly we will use the V-ray Omni lightings. Please observe closely what I did on this false ceiling and it will help you the same in your own project. Here, I went to the 3D warehouse where you can find a collection of plenty of component that we can use in our projects. I figure out what type of lighting should I install on the ceiling. So I collect some lighting fixture from warehouse and decide later the best fit for this room. After collecting some of the lighting fixture from 3D warehouse, we will now lay out the false ceiling. As you observe, I used the offset tool to create a line for our cove light ceiling and lay out the circle the same diameter with the selected pen light. I also used the push-pull tool to create a realistic model for the drop ceiling. I purge all the selected component to minimize the size of the files and retain only the active components. Here, I bring the pen light fixture to the false ceiling. Carefully we will add the Omni from V-Ray panel tab to this pen light fixture. As you will observe, I create as a group to make this as a one object. Because, we only need one type of light for the same type of lighting fixture. In this case, we can easily modify the intensity and specification of the light when we are going to render it with V-Ray. I create a copy of this object and placed in each circle which we used as a reference point. Easily, we created a multiple copy of lighting fixture with V-Ray lights on it. After we make multiple copy of lighting, I make the object as a group, and add it on the layer to easily isolate when we are modifying our project model. I already selected the chandelier that we will install in the ceiling. We used again the Omni light and placed inside the object of the bulb. We will do this in a multiple copy the same with the previous pen light that we did. You will see later how it will look when we start rendering it with V-Ray. Since the file size is taking bigger, and will consume more memory in my computer, I decided to purge the model to delete unused component and also to reduce the file size. I put the copied light to each of the bulb, and adjusted the orientation. We will do the same for all of the bulb. This will take more time to fix, we will just need some patience. Again, we need to copy and paste only the existing light from V-Ray. No need to add new lights because we are working only for the same lighting fixture. After we create the components for our lighting fixture, I will transfer it to the ceiling with the reference point that we make. After we create the components for the whole ceiling, we will include this into our layer and isolate later when we will modify the components. We will now transfer the whole ceiling component to the room to complete the room fitting out. I will now create the wooden molding by using rectangular, line, arc, and follow me tool. It's pretty to see the follow me tool and create quick model like the molding. Please observe what I did on making the wooden molding. After we create quick wooden molding, I include the component to the layer to isolate later when we are going to modify the models. We completed already all the components inside the room. We will move now to our second part of our video, which include adding texture to the components and rendering settings using V-Ray. First, I used the 3D warehouse and find the texture that suit to our project. In addition, I made trial and error in finding the best texture in our model. I collect all the texture from the model of 3D warehouse, use the match properties tool and apply it in our project model. The best selection is the nearest if possible to your project requirements. As you will see, we start applying the texture from 3D warehouse to our model component. We do this one by one by using the sample paint and paint bucket tool. When you are applying the texture to the group component, you will need to double-click the component and select the object that you will put a texture. On this case, I'm trying to apply the texture if it will look fine to our project, just like trial and error. We will apply texture to each of this component until we satisfy ourselves. For the drawer, I used the cherry wood grain texture, and for the handles, I used the aluminum texture in Materials Library of Sketchup. As we will go through to this video, you will see how we can enhance the texture that we applied to our 3D model. Here, I am experimenting the texture or the color that we will use until we find the best and the nearest texture in the project requirements. After we done and satisfy with the texture, I will add now the cove light on the ceiling, and we will use the rectangle light that you will see in the V-Ray lighting tab. Now, I rename the lights from the V-Ray settings so that we will not forget when we will modify or adjust the settings of the lights. Please observe what I did on this light, and you will see later how we can modify and enhance in rendering period. For the shorter side of the ceiling, I add new light from the tab of V-Ray lights. Although we have already existing cove light in the longer side of the ceiling, we still need to add lights because the setting for the length of the material is different than the existing one. After we done with the cove ceiling lights, we can now move to the next part of the video, which is rendering. First, we will open the V-Ray Asset Editor and start clicking the materials that we want to enhance. As you observe in the screen, after clicking the materials it will automatically go to its V-Ray setting. Now, you can edit the desired settings like reflection, refraction, opacity, and others. Here, I usually select the reflection, just adding the numbers of the reflection color and the glossiness by moving the point in the right side direction. I do this in all of the components except for the lightings, which has a different setting. In this project, we are going to set in a night scene mode, enable us to see how our lightings looks like in rendering. Click the use sun for shading and adjust it in evening time. I set the render setting into a medium quality, to make the render faster and see how it will look like. We will turn it in much higher quality if we already satisfy the previous result. Then click the render sign and it will now start the rendering. I stop render and inspect what is missing in our project. I found out that the ceiling cove light is not seen in our render. So, I adjust the ceiling cove light and change the color into light blue and add more intensity to make it transparent. We will need the same procedure until we satisfy the result, and I made some trial and error on this rendering scene. Finally, it's done and ready for the client presentation and approval.